So, the Mishnah was compiled from 200 BCE to 200 CE and consists of rabbinic scholars, and they are commenting on the legal aspects of the Hebrew Bible. From 200 CE until 600 CE, there were two Gemaras that developed in different parts of. One was in the land of Israel and one was in Babylonia, and these consisted of actually not just legal aspects of the Hebrew Bible, but stories about sages, folklore, histories, and also ethical insights. And they were both commentaries on the Mishnah, but they were from the viewpoint of rabbis in each location. So the Mishnah and the Gemara together comprise the Talmud. So they're actually two different Talmuds. And one is, which is actually kind of less influential, was the Mishnah and the Jerusalem, the commentary from the in Israel that comprised the Jerusalem Talmud. And the sort of more influential one is the Mishnah and the Gemara that came from Babylon. So that's the Babylonian Talmud, and it's known, kind of referenced as the Bavli. Students of yeshivas, or yeshivot in the Hebrew pronunciation, study all of these texts, the Torah, the Tanakh, the Mishnah, and the Talmud, along with other commentaries such as Rashi, Ibn Ezra, and Maimonides. Rashi is a really influential scholar who wrote a text, like a commentary, on both the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, and also the Talmud. And it's really extensive, and it's kind of the first place that students go who are trying to learn about, what's going on with these texts. Ibn Ezra, he was actually a French scholar from the 11th to 12th century. And Ibn Ezra was a Spanish scholar from that same time period. And he wrote a bunch of commentaries which are quite famous, but they're somewhat controversial. Maimonides was a Spanish scholar who lived in the 12th to 13th centuries, who was kind of forced out of Spain by Muslim invaders and went first to Morocco and then to Egypt. And he was a rabbi, a philosopher, and a doctor. And he wrote what's called the Mishneh Torah, which people sort of refer to as the second Torah. And it combines into categories different kind of widely different texts from the Talmud that are on particular topics, and he combined them into different categories. So these are just a few among many others. And the Jewish textual tradition has continued from the medieval to the modern period until today. Just a few other topics that are important. One is the Kabbalistic manuscript, which is the 13th century Zohar. And another one is Isaac Luria, who is a really influential Kabbalist. And he has this whole idea of the creation of the world, which is pretty different. It does completely jive with the first two creation stories in the Bible, but it involves like a whole other kind of set of criteria. Joseph Caro, who lived around the same time, he's about the 16th century, compiled a version of Jewish law that almost every Orthodox Jew today has on his or her shelf. And it's a kind of really shortened compendium of the Talmud. So it's referred to as an authoritative version. I would be actually remiss if I didn't mention the Hasidim. So Rabbi Eliezer Baal Shem Tov, who's also known as the Besht, was the founder of Hasidism, and it's a mystical tradition that emphasizes joy in everyday life, and which is something that anyone can do, not just scholars in the yeshivas. And the Hasidic movement has contributed many texts to the Jewish tradition. And it continues today in what many people know as the, quote, ultra-Orthodox Jews, with men who are distinguished by their long black coats and their black hats and pays, which are side curls that are worn above the ears.